Hello there, and welcome to this session on Archangel Michael, the blessings of the angel who speaks to us through tones of blue, and to Vishuddhi, our beautiful throat chakra, and to the breath that nourishes both and cools both. And when we feel into Michael, or if I would love to be able to remember to say it beautifully and correctly, because to say it angelically, it's Michael, but not even that's not quite right. But the L is important, but bear with me. My English schoolgirl naming comes and overwrites. But anyway, he doesn't mind. So Vishuddhi and Michael come together with sound. Michael is the angel who lives in the quintessence. And we know the four elements, most of us, earth, air, fire, and water. The fifth element, quintessence, the ether, is where we find Michael. And it's this etheric place that is the element that is before the other four and contains the other four. So it's the endless waves that allow us to then co-create our material that we then inhabit and enjoy. And he, because he is the Word, he is literally the Word of God. So as there was formless nothing, the creation was the Word that made the vibration, that created the cosmos, created the galaxies, that created the... And to understand this a little, if you look at a mountain range and you go, yes, of course, that is how it would be. This is stone. You understand that it is shaped by the wind that passes over it. So it's the sound, the movement, the sound, vibration. And these vibrations are what we create as we speak. So when we speak, and particularly if you speak or hum and gently close your ears, you absolutely understand the quality and timbre of your voice, and indeed what it is doing to shape your inner scape, your inner world. Is every word shaped and being shaped continuously by the heartbeat, being shaped continuously by the movement of the lungs and the noise of the breath. And with Michael, we have this ability to come back to that broadening. So the fifth chakra is quintessence, the fifth element. The fifth chakra is also the microcosm. So at the end of the 5 count, we have the pentagram, which is the shape of man. The 4 star wings below and the 1 star wing for the crown. And when we complete our microcosm, when we have got to here in our awareness, when Vishuddhi is open and the heart has allowed and reached up towards it, at that point we're ready to understand the breadth and the expansion of ourselves before the material. So this is the key point. We're ready to be the word that speaks the material into existence. And how does that happen? And the question then is, so if my voice and my sound creates my material existence, if I then look out into what I have created previously, so what I see now is a previous creation, and that previous creation has come from my vibration. And so the question for this session becomes, what must I purify in order to find my true voice? So when we look out into our current existence and we see things that we're not sure we like, we question, we're seeing a vibration that we have made with yesterday's thinking. We're seeing a waveform that we have made solid, we have embodied, we have pulled into our life experience that has come from a vibration that doesn't quite ring true for us. And it's this capacity to hear our own truth. And I want you to just close your eyes for a minute and just consider that there have been times in your life when someone's said something about you, or you've heard someone say something about you. And in your unsureness, there are always two options when you hear something. One option is to go, oh well, they're as they are and they're saying as they say, and it's nothing to do with me. But in our unsureness, we might say to ourselves, that might be true. I just want you to feel back into your life where things have landed for you and you've taken into yourself and onto yourself because someone said something hurtful. You might go back as far as playgrounds and schools, doesn't matter where you go, but something that you have heard and you've said that might be true. And then it's stuck in you. It stays stuck until you can vibrate strongly enough, resonate strongly enough to be able to say, bless them and love them. That was their view of the world, and it actually has nothing to do with me. It's not indeed my business. But to hear that, we have to purify how we vibrate. And there's a beautiful breath that helps with that. And we're actually going to try 2 breaths tonight. But the first one is, it's a beautiful, a breath with sound. And of course, the Vishuddhi chakra is where mantra comes in, where the speaking of sound comes in, the vibration, giving voice to. And this breath that we're going to do, we can do anytime inside ourselves, but we're going to do a little bit, we're going to do half of it outside ourselves. We're going to make noise. And so the breath is, and it's a mantra, and the mantra is so hum. And hum is actually the bija mantra for Vishuddhi. So hum. And the meaning of so hum is I am that, that is I. And in fact, I am all of that. So there is the dissolving of self out into the universe, and then understanding that the universe is indeed all inside myself. So it's a very big concept. When you really feel it, it's a huge concept. It is the concept of the quantum and a concept of, again, the nature of the ether. So the ether that permeates all things permeates us entirely and is the foundation of us entirely and is the foundation of all other things entirely. So underneath the space that we talked about previously, where we're mainly space, underneath that we are all ether. We are all the primal wave that responds to sound that is before and underneath all things. And so if we contemplate that we are that part of that is in its microcosm, that again, that 5, we are akin to the macrocosm that is all it is. The microcosm and the macrocosm share at the very deepest level the same substance, the basis of all things. So if we feel into our so hum mantra, just again, get very heavy on what you're sitting on. And we'll use an inhale through the nose. And when you inhale, just in your mental voice, say to yourself, so, as you draw the breath in. So it's an internal so. Hearing the sound of the breath as it comes in. And as we breathe out, we're going to just have an open mouth and we're going to hum. So is inside on the inhale. Hum. 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 And as you're humming, oh, sorry, there's a pop-up. As you're humming, play with the note of it. So at that point, you can play with a hum that actually vibrates your sinuses. You can play with a hum that vibrates your jaw by touching your teeth. You can play with a hum that reaches up into your head. So there are so many places to play the hum. The key is, and this is where we get a little tiny bit of science, when you hum like this, what you're doing is you vibrate, particularly here. And this is where you have the ability, all through these beautiful winding shapes of your sinus, you have the ability to make nitric oxide. And nitric oxide is this absolutely beautiful gas, this little tiny molecule. It's so tiny. And it does all sorts of things from being a neurotransmitter. So it brings cognitive clarity and memory function and brain health. And it also dilates all the blood vessels and allows then all of the capillaries, which feed the very tiny parts of the brain, because the brain is such a big needer of energy and it needs the blood right out there. But it also means it feeds all the way the capillaries into the toes, into the fingers. So if you've got any issues with your vascular system, your circulatory system, with memory, with libido, it is the underpinning mechanism to Viagra, if you've ever wondered. It is a way, a very simple way. And what science has found is that if you hum, you actually increase your nitric oxide by 15 times over if you just breathe normally. So breathing through your nose, particularly the inhale, because you want to lift the nitric oxide up and in. When you hum as you breathe out, what you achieve is you just achieve the capacity for this nitric oxide to become much more broadly expressed and delivered more widely. So just a moment or two when you can play with a hum just during the day. So if you're pottering around and you just find a wee hum, you're working with Vishuddhi. And when you work with Vishuddhi, you're purifying your vibration. When you play with finding different notes, if you have a song that you love and you hum it, if you have a lullaby that you love in some way that you used to hear as a child, or perhaps you've sung to a little person and you hum it. All of these things just reset. You get the parasympathetic release, you have the nitric oxide creation, and the well-being through the whole system is just lifted. So let's just try another wee moment before we settle into our work with Michael of an inhale. And we feel that so very deeply as the internal resonance of that breath in. Om. Om. You can practice. your different tones and just play with sound. So playing with sound is a way that we bring life and creativity into Vishuddhi, to sing, to find notes. So anyway, my dear, let us just settle now into our work with our beautiful angel Michael himself. Michael, Michael, Michael. To be here in your presence. And the breath that we'll use as we work is it's an ocean breath, and it's the sound almost as if you can hear the sea by just gently constricting the back of the throat a little. So there's a imagine making the sounds if you press the shell to your ear. And you're looking for that kind of sound, and practice a little bit or play a little bit with just that constricting to make that sound, to make that ripple of vibration. And just as you carry that breath through, in the presence of Michael, his first act is to share with us, with you, his beautiful cobalt blue cloak. Just want you to feel as you rest clearly on what you're sitting, you press yourself into the surface. I just want you to reach up now with the whole of your body. Anything that's not touching down is lifting up. And just feel now how you can begin to sense the change in the texture of the air against your skin. Perhaps you see the color blue if you roll your eyes up and in as if you're looking to the spot at the center of your forehead. See what color is there. And just allow the sensations of being enveloped. And Michael's cloak has the capacity to, for a start, it's such a calming, beautiful sensation to be gently surrounded in this wonderful fabric of ether, etheric quintessence, the perfected one. And feel how within the cloak you can travel about your business and be safe and protected. So if there's ever a situation that you're unsure of, once you're within this cloak, you can feel that serenity of the blue permeating deeply into you, and his energetic protection. So that as you settle into yourself, as you become more internal in the situation, you become less and less visible to the other people in the situation, to the extent that you can actually withdraw yourself from it. Not in a way that you would run away, because that can be attracting to some people, but in a way that allows you to just withdraw, to be serene, to be at peace, to feel safe. Still feeling that ocean breath in your throat. And still just gently from time to time, just lifting your eyes up and looking up and in, looking for color. Looking how you have a sense of the texture of your skin, and you might begin to notice tingles on the surface of your skin. You might notice tingles in the scalp, just as this etheric cloak surrounds you. Notice the stillness of the space around you as you expand into and fill out towards the cloak. So your energy, your aura expands. as it notices and feels the safety of the cloak. So there's an expanding feeling to this. A steadiness is perhaps a good word, a steadiness. If you were a candle, you would be the candle where there is no wind in the room, rather than a candle where the wind is coming and the flame is moved about. So keep breathing that sounded breath in your nose and throat, the ocean breath. And now we will just pose that question, and I'd like you to ask it of yourself very deeply. What must I purify so that I can have my true voice? What must I release? What must I cut away? And this is where Michael comes with his beautiful crystal topaz sword, bright yellow, golden yellow, but translucent, shining. And the work we'll do here is not perhaps your traditional cord cutting, where we might cut cords between people and look to cut cords between chakras, perhaps. At the power chakra at Manipura, we might cut cords. But instead, we're looking more deeply. We're asking within, what is it about the way I am perceiving myself in the world that is allowing the world to be shaped in the way that it is? What beliefs have I held onto? What old wounds, what old slights have I held onto? What have I not yet been able to say, but of course it was their business and not mine? And how has that shaped the vibration of the world? And just feel now Michael placing his topaz sword just gently helping you highlight and remove anything that is holding you back, that is habitual in a way that you no longer choose, that is outdated from the world that you would choose to inhabit. Keep remembering that when we look, we see what we thought yesterday, and instead we just close our eyes for a moment and we serenade what tomorrow might be. We hum it into existence with every breath we take. We bring creative expression through the beautiful smile that we feel on our face. And just for a moment, just deliberately choose to smile. Just, it doesn't have to be huge. Just a lifting of the corner of the mouth. But what we're feeling and feeling for is that twinkle, even as your eyes are closed, the twinkle in the corner of your eyes. So smile so that you feel that twinkle. And when you look out into the world, see your world through these eyes, remembering it is still from yesterday's thoughts. And be kind to the thinker of the thoughts from yesterday, understanding that today you stand in a new vibration. So here you are within the steady, stable cloak that you have been so graciously offered, this etheric protection. Here you have the capacity for Michael to bring his sword and just help you highlight and illuminate all that old stuff. It's all the stuff in the attic and the stuff in the drawers and the stuff. The thinking stuff. the stuff that you have held on to believing it to be important for the future. Forgetting that tomorrow you're creating new with your vibration. So that releasing, that cutting away, that letting go, that illuminating what is no longer needed. What a gift that is. What an absolute gift that he brings us. That steadiness of presence. That discerning viewpoint. There is with Michael, there's not a lot of fluff here, right? It's that habit that you have is either helpful and useful for tomorrow or not so much. What is it that you choose for tomorrow? What is it that you will bring into tomorrow with your voice, with your capacity to hear the truth? What rings true now in the steadiness of his presence? What now rings true for you and what no longer does? Keep breathing. Keep that lovely flow of purification. Feel the length of the throat. Feel the floating of the skull. And as you expand in your spaciousness, feel how all of you is aligned in a new way. How your tone has changed. How you are now the bell that rings true for yourself. And you're perfectly willing for other people's bells to ring just as they like, because it's not your business. And in this way, we can be with others and allow them to have their own tones. A tone that works for another, a habit that works for another, a thought, a belief that works for another isn't necessarily for us. And what we take on when we feel it ring true, we only want to do it when we're inside our etheric steadiness, when we can feel our expanded, serene self, when we know that we have released and purified yesterday through this beautiful mechanism in the throat. Then, if it rings true, if when you ask Michael, bring your illumination, and now I ask myself, does it ring true? Not asking Michael, does it ring true? Is it true? In his presence, with his discernment, does it ring true for me? Is it part of my tomorrow? And I want you just to spend a moment here now. Again, roll your eyes up, focusing on that space, just the center of the eyebrows. And just get a sense now of the whole of your feeling for this space. How you are steady and expanded, tall in your presence, resonant in your voice and tone, patient in your hearing, and willing to allow the vibration of the sound to be that which leads you forward rather than the eyes that are, in many cases, giving you old news. Just trust that in the presence of Michael, you will be able to expand and open your vibration to allow each day to be that new tomorrow. Mikhail, 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 thank you for your loving presence, for your clarity, your guidance, and the words that you have given shape to. And so it is.